So Trump has calculated this 64% number to reflect the barriers it believes Taiwan has against US products, and that's how it got to their figure of 32%, which is half of that. Can you help us understand where this 64% comes from?
It's obviously not a 64% tariff. I mean, there is no 64% tariff. If you look at the details of how they are calculating it, they are saying that there's a lot of policies that effectively act as tariffs, but it's all hidden, right? But so what they're doing is that they're looking at the countries that have a large that the U.S. has a large trade deficit with, or on the other side, countries that run a big surplus with the U.S. And they're basically saying that that must be because these countries impose hidden tariffs on U.S. products.
But so do you think it is a fair move that the US has now imposed 32% tariffs on Taiwanese goods?
There are two questions. One is that what the Trump administration is doing makes no sense whatsoever. At the same time, that for the last 20 years, in terms of its macroeconomic policy, Taiwan has been running these unsustainable trade surpluses that does itself huge economic damage. And what's coming back to this case, it's also creating tremendous political damage with respect to the US. My sense is that nobody in Taiwan ever took sort of the problem with of the trade surplus that Taiwan has seriously. That they were all focused on trying to make a deal and thinking that they could make a deal with semiconductors.
Why is it that Taiwan's trade surplus with the US has grown so big, and what can they do now to fix it?
The short answer and the maybe oversimplistic answer is this idea that we have to keep our exports competitive. And the corollary to that idea is that exports are good and imports are bad. It really is explicitly the policy of the policies of the central bank that has led us to this place that we are now. Taiwan obviously has to be very careful and not pissing off the Trump administration because it could end up in the same seat that Zelensky was in. This could also be an opportunity for, I mean, this could be the equivalent of a 1973 moment. 1973 was like the first crisis that Taiwan faced when the world price of oil tripled. So the response of Taiwan to that world crisis is to say the economic model that we were pursuing up until then was no longer viable. And obviously that doesn't generate results in the short run. It took 15 more years for something to come out of it. And right now, I think the broader issue is that Taiwan is it's like a lot of Taiwanese companies still have this low wage, cutting costs to the bone model. This might be a time for us to say, okay, given that the world is now, if we believe the world has fundamentally transformed, we need a new paradigm. We need a new model. What could that be?